YouTube TV Black, SANDA back with another video. Today we're going to be on episode 3 of our interactive horror story. If you're ready for this, make sure you turn that gray thumbs up button blue, hit that red sub button, turn it gray, ring the bell, and if you're excited and you just want to show your support for the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That will be very helpful. Now, we're back on episode 3. Right now we've finished The Doll, After Funeral, and After Funeral. Now we're on Crystal Skull. Low-key, I'm kind of iffy because After Funeral wasn't my favorite. Although I did just start, so like I can't really pick out favorites based on these two. But Crystal Skull, here we go. You're a king who is loved by his people. You have a serious problem though. Your only child, Juliana, has an incurable disease and she is dying. You hear about a crystal skull which can cure illnesses and let people have visions. It is brought to your place from the continent of America, but your man warns you that the skull might be cursed. Will the skull bring health to the princess? Bring health to the princess or doom? Being a king is hard. Being a good king is even harder. You know this well, and as the sole ruler of a European kingdom, in the age of when America is discovered, it has been 25 years since you ascended the throne. Your subjects are content with your rule. Your country is in peace, and all the people are wealthy. But there is something wrong with your life. Your daughter Juliana is ill. She's only 18, and she has illnesses. She has an illness that nobody can cure yet. The princess is dying, and she is your only child and heir to the throne. Every doctor you could find tried to cure her. You've tried almost everything. Almost. You have been informed about a miraculous artifact unearthed from the continent of America. It is a human skull made of crystal. It amazes the scholars because no method is known to carve up such an excellent shape of a skull out of crystal. This skull doesn't belong to the world that you know, but to an ancient civilization that has been lost. So the natives? Well, indigenous. Need to make sure I don't get that wrong. But what amazes the scholars is that not just the impossible creation, the skull is told to bring miracles to whom it touches with their bare hands. Some people tell that they saw visions from the future. Some tell that they saw how the human race had originated. And some tell that the skull can cure the illnesses, those who couldn't be cured by the medicine available to your era. Naturally, you ordered your best men to bring the miraculous skull to the palace. It's midnight now. You're in Juliana's chamber. She's lying in her bed holding your hand as you sit by her bed. No candles are lit inside. Full moon enlightens the princess's chamber, shining on her long blonde hair and blue eyes. She is too weak. Her skin is pale. She has under-eye bags showing her illness. You've already suffered the loss of your wife 10 years ago. Now you can't stand seeing your only daughter die slowly. Juliana asks with a soft voice, "Father, am I going to die?" Let's be optimistic. I won't allow it. She smiles. "I know, Father. You are a mighty king, and I know you will do your best by your subjects in me." That was loud. The door of the chamber is knocked on. The servants generally don't disturb the royal family members at night, so it must be something important. Come on in. A brunette boy, one of your servants, gets inside the chamber with politeness. He looks at you and says, "Your Majesty, the artifact has been brought. You had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Will be a good father." After you kiss Juliana's forehead and say, "I will come back," she brings your hand to her pale lips and kiss it. Bring your hand. Yeah, I said that. Then you leave Juliana alone in her chamber. At the exit of Juliana's chamber, you see Sir William, one of the knights, those who were appointed with the task of bringing you the ancient skull. He is a strong man with black hair and a round beard. He wears gloves and holds a bag. "Your Majesty," he says, and kneels before you. Sir William follows you as you walk to your study chamber. The chamber is well lit with a silver you know what? All of the furniture are classy. It is a king's study room after all. There is only one chair, and it is for you to sit on. Sir William stands by you and slowly pulls the artifact from his bag. You push the books on his study desk to an open space for the artifact. Here it is, he says, and gently puts the crystal skull on the study desk. The skull is truly a masterpiece. If it's crafted by humans, all of the details of a human skull are imprinted with care on raw crystal. Lights coming from the candles are refracted inside the skull, gaining various colors of a rainbow. It's magnificent, but you sense something sinister, something that doesn't belong to our world. Let's be cautious. Yes, we did touch the skull with our bare hands, and we all had visions. We took glances from our futures. Some of us saw how they will die. Some of us saw our grandchildren. He continues, but maybe we shouldn't have touched the skull. I agree. The day we were about to leave, a native man, so I wasn't wrong, came to us. He looked at the chief of his tribe. He knew little of our language, but he shouted some words that we could understand. Cursed, do not, no touch. So we hadn't touched the skull with our bare hands again. I know that our princess needs to find a cure. I also know that we received reliable information about the magical powers of the skull. When it comes to incurable diseases, but your majesty, I've got a very bad feeling about this skull. I believe that a wise decision is to throw the skull to the sea. One side is gullible, one side is irrational. Yeah, let's trust the origin. I'm glad that you agree with me, your majesty. So he packs the crystal skull into the bag. You two get outside the palace and get on your horses to ride to the docks. When you reach the docks, Sir William finds stones and fills the bag with it. Then he throws the bag, your only hope for curing Juliana, to the bottom of the dark sea. I know how hard it must be, but maybe this is for the best of all of us. You hope that he's right. The end. Oh, there's 3 endings. Let's try this again. As you're about to touch the skull, Sir William holds your hand and prevents you from touching the skull. Your Majesty, I think I need to tell you something about the skull before you touch it. Same dialogue. Yeah, this time will be irrational. The knight sighs, as you wish, your majesty, but if you were going to bring the skull to her, I wish you would wear gloves. Think we should wear gloves first. You look for gloves around the study chamber. Sir William pulls his own gloves off. I think you wish Juliana to touch the skull as soon as possible. Let's not wait for her servants to find your gloves, he says, and gives you them. You wear the gloves and hold the crystal skull with your covered hands. Thank you, Sir William, for his services, and let him go. You carry the skull to Juliana's chamber. You enter her chamber and see that she hasn't slept yet. She rises up and sits on her bed and looks at the skull with awe. It looks marvelous and scary, she says. You approach Juliana and let her touch the skull. As Juliana touches the skull, she closes her eyes and doesn't react to anything in external world. You understand that she's having a vision. After 10 seconds, she opens her eyes and gasps. With a gasp, I saw things. I don't know how to describe them. They're pitch black creatures, so ugly. They were red as flames, and they all stared at me. She starts to cry. Please keep this thing away from me, please, and I want to be alone. So you decide to keep the skull in your study room and let your daughter sleep. After this tiring day, you go to your chamber. There's no guards at the door. You trust everybody in the palace. In the palace, you are a loved king. The furniture are luxurious, and the chamber too. You take a glance at your reflection in the mirror. We examine ourselves. You you take pride in how you look. You're a middle-aged man, but you still look as handsome as you were young. Your looks are an important factor to what makes you a charismatic leader, besides being fair and wise. Go to sleep now. You wear a nightgown and get in your bed. It is a bed for two people, but you hadn't slept with anyone since your wife has passed away. You have a secret though that you keep from everyone. Sometimes you hug the second pillow in your bed as if it was someone you love. You do you did this since your childhood. Nobody needs to know it. It doesn't take long for you to fall asleep. Father. You wake up to Juliana's voice. She gently holds your shoulder. You look at her. She has a happy smile on her face. Her skin is not pale, but saturated with life. She no longer has bags under her eyes. I feel wonderful. She takes a few steps back and starts dancing. You laugh with happiness and stand up and hug her. Juliana walks in the corridors of the palace, dancing and laughing. You and the people of the palace are very happy to see her this way. She used to be like a ghost before. You plan a feast and invite all of the lords of the kingdom. A few days later, every lord arrives to the capital city to celebrate the health of the princess. At the feast, Juliana is the center of everybody's attention. She talks with everyone joyfully, makes jokes, makes people laugh. When the feast is over, it's midnight. Everyone goes to the chambers reserved for them. You accompany Juliana to her chamber. You put a kiss on her forehead before letting her sleep. Then you go to your own chamber and fall asleep in peace. Oh my god. These doors. You wake up to the sound of knocking on your chamber's door. It is still night. You wonder who dared to wake you up at this hour. I open the door. It's the same brunette boy who had informed you about the arrival of the skull. Your Majesty, I am deeply sorry for disturbing you at this hour, but there's something wrong. There's laughing from the Oh, something bad happens to Juliana. There are laughing sounds coming from the princess's chamber. It's her voice, but it doesn't sound normal. Let me check it. You walk to Juliana's chamber. Like the servant said, hysterical laughter is coming from inside. You decide to enter. You see Juliana at the balcony of her chamber, facing back you. She laughs under the pale moon. You approach her and put your hand on her shoulder. She turns back to you. Her face is normal, smiling. Just when you were going to ask if she's okay, she responds, I know it looks funny, Father, but I am fine. Please leave me alone, she says. She stops laughing, gets in her bed with a smile on her face. You decide to leave her alone. You go back to your chamber. You can't sleep. You feel something is wrong. So wrong. The sound of your door opens. There is only one person who is allowed to enter without knocking on the king's door. So you understand that it's Juliana who entered. Like you guessed, you see your daughter's silhouette. She closes the door with a smile on her face. She leans down to you, gently pulls the other pillow that you don't use. Juliana is dead, she says, pushing the pillow on your face. You struggle. But whoever or whatever is trying to kill you is too strong. The king is dead. Long live the king, she shouts. Why is your own daughter committing patricide, regicide, and referring to herself as king rather than queen? That doesn't make sense at all. That is the end of your reign in life. Ooh, I like this one. I like this. We'll do this one last time and see if we can get the third ending. Oh, so two endings where our daughter dies. So there's really no happy ending for this one. Oh man, I shouldn't have went through it so fast. I will slow down for you all. Going to master this intro. Eventually, yes. Come in. be a good father, but we will see if we could get the third ending. Ask, did they touch it? Become irrational. Alright. You ignore the king, the knight, touch the skull with your bare hands. Instantly you find yourself in a vision. In your vision, you're in the middle of a ritual. There are about 100 naked humans around you, forming a circle whose center is you. They're all prostrating themselves, worshipping you. It is nighttime. The plain area is enlightened with torches and stars. You see a step pyramid nearby. It is made of huge stone blocks. You realize that you are the crystal skull. You can't see yourself, but you are completely aware of what you are. These naked people are worshipping you, the crystal skull. Then the vision changes. It is not night. Morning it is, raining like heck. There's a huge flood. Unclothed, red-skinned humans scream and get drowned because of the disastrous torrent, and you, the skull, drift away. You open your eyes and turn back to who you really are. Good king, Sir William looks at you. You tell the vision. You tell him what you've seen in your vision. Yes, the skull is mysterious. I can't understand it. I hope it doesn't bring any harm to you or princess, your majesty, he says. We bring it to our daughter. Thank you, Sir William, for his services. Yeah, we did that part. She holds the skull, rubs her hands around it. Nothing happens. Is something supposed to happen, she asks, then gives the skull back. Then she continues, let's wait for tomorrow morning. Maybe it shows its effect then. So you decide to leave Juliana alone and let her sleep. The skull will be staying in your study chamber. After this tiring day, you go to your chamber. There's no guards at the door. Yeah, we'll go straight to sleep. You wake up in the morning. There's something wrong. You can't move your arms. No, not only arms. You can't move any part of your body. You're paralyzed. Then your body starts to move involuntary. Stands up without your consent. Your feet bring you to the mirror. You see your face in the mirror. You're terrified. There's a grin on your face. You're no longer in control of your body. You're merely a bystander of what it does. It brings you to the throne room with confident steps. Soldiers salute. To be exact, it. As you enter, it sits on the throne and shouts with your voice, "Bring me my daughter." You watch the guards accompany Juliana as she comes into your presence. It shouts, "I want her to suffer. I don't want her to suffer anymore. Kill her." Juliana is shocked. What? Father, please. She is not only the only surprised one in the room. Everybody looks at each other in shock and shouts, "You heard the king. Execute her." You try to shout, but your screams are buried inside the head of the king. Juliana gets on her knees and cries in despair, but it's in vain. Two black masked decapitators come into your presence. One holds the crying blonde girl, and the other holds the sword. You can do nothing but watch as your precious daughter gets decapitated. Her head falls down and rolls on the throne. Floor gets filled with her blood. Days pass. It continues to control your body. You mourn for your daughter inside the body that once belonged to you. You watch it rule your country with an iron fist. It orders all churches to be burnt and priests to be hanged. Of course, your people uprise against the new king. It suppresses the revolt with violence. Anyone who stood against the king gets tortured. Eyes are poked, skins are flayed. Soon, it orders people to worship it as a deity. The God King declares war against other countries. It doesn't take long for other countries to form an alliance against the God King. In a fateful battle in your capital, the God King loses his horse. The evil king gets killed while desperately searching for a horse. And this is how your soul finally breaks free to heaven to see your family once again. The end. Honestly, I was excited for the Crystal Skull. I liked this one. This one was honestly one of my favorites out of the 3 that we've done so far. But hey, Let's see what the sequel gives when the time comes. But yeah, that's really it. Alright, so I actually enjoyed this one. The Crystal Skull. Hopefully the Crystal Skull 2. I'm low-key excited to get to read that one and see what that one has in store for us, because I'm low-key into like things like this, with artifacts and, cursed objects, because it's usually about common sense and like what would you do in this situation. And as you clearly saw, this was what would I do in this situation. You would see that I'd be rational. I'd be rational with what I do. Yeah, I'd be rational. I'd take the risk and be like, you know what? I'm sorry there isn't a cure, but hey, at least you know that I cared for you and I didn't want you to suffer. So yes, segueing into our outro. If you liked it, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. In my words, turn that great thumbs up button blue. Hit that red sub button. Ring the bell if you wanna be notified when a new video drops. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Sand out. Peace.